Hello. For those of us that chatted yesterday afternoon, welcome again. Interesting conversation. Let's see if we can sort of punch it this morning. So I'll click here and see if we can figure that out. Okay. Couldn't quite fit any more words onto the topic. But yeah, how might we smash it in terms of audience engagement and incentivizing desired behaviour in this modern era? I'm going to make three fairly bold claims which hopefully I can support. Here's the first one. Points loyalty sucks. Been around for a long time now. Gathering all sorts of slightly unpleasant headlines. Last one I read was a gentleman who had been gathering Qantas points to fly the ashes of a deceased relative back to UK. They're expired. ABC picks up the story. All of a sudden, Qantas, Australia's most trusted brand, finds itself in the dock at the ASX having to explain how their points system works. My wife, over the last 7 months, she's put $50,000 over the counter of the supermarket. It's a lot of money. Quite interested to see how many points she had. Quite a lot. What is the value of those points? $50. If I spend it back with Coles. Or, on the Coles Rewards website, I could buy a swing ball set. When I Google that swing ball set, I can pick it up from Kogan for $30. It's not a good look. My daughter loves Sephora, great brand, great operators. She's in the US last year. She's buying all her cosmetics through Sephora and gathering her points. Comes back to Australia, those points are worthless. It comes down to the mechanics of points. And it's interesting because, the psychologists will tell us that human beings always prefer to be something extra rather than something off. So the concept is great, but the mechanics are poor. And increasingly consumers are not liking that, and it's actually having the opposite effect than what it's intended, which is incentivization. It's moving that consumer from here to here to make the purchase decision with us. Second bold claim. Discounting is a race to the bottom. Prices are down, prices are down, right? Wherever I look. It strikes us that it's really hard for a retailer, particularly a retailer with a bricks and mortar presence who has pretty high fixed costs to compete in this sort of area. How do you compete with someone that is online or offshore? They can always beat you on price. So if price is to be the only fuel to moving that consumer from A to B, it's a suboptimal option, and it represents a race to the bottom. Where does it end? But yet, it's what we see. It's all we've got, because points loyalty systems, they suck. How many of us as consumers have a wallet full of plastic we just don't use? It's not there when we need it. We know that it's really restricted value. It can evaporate under our feet. This is why we're moving to competition on price only in our view. Third bold claim. Millennials particularly love crypto. So the UNSW last year put a team together that rolled out a very limited loyalty rewards program using cryptocurrency. They literally gathered around the retailers close to the university, marketed to the student fraternity, and ran a study that rewarded students with the cryptocurrency if they patronised those stores. The results are remarkable, and there they are. So of the 20% of millennials in Australia that hold cryptocurrency, the vast majority of them are millennials, young millennials. Of the further 20% who are crypto curious, the only thing stopping them is this barrier to entry. actually getting into crypto, crossing the gate from fiat currency, from your bank account, into a cryptocurrency holding, it's doable, of course. Like we're talking about 100-point checks, etc., etc. It takes about a week. Why? It's all about the fuel. So if we look at points, you're talking about something of elastic supply that is backed by the issuer. They can issue forever. What they're issuing is an IOU. That IOU has to be managed. So necessarily the value is opaque and it tends to be revalued down. From the point of view of the consumer, points have extremely limited portability. They're either valued in one place, or maybe if we're using a coalition, a collection of stores. So limited portability and limited utility. And finally, value that can evaporate. Really? Really? This limited half-life issue is increasingly a problem. You're giving me something, you're giving me a few crumbs that only have any value if I give them back to you, and only for a limited time because I have my balance sheet to manage. If we put our consumer hats on, that's how we feel, right? If we look at cash against points, cash in this form as discount, it's definitely an improvement, right? Even though the supply is elastic, the value is knowable. An Australian dollar is portable within Australia. Turkish lira, usable in Turkey. Slowly devaluing, or if you're living in Turkey, quite quickly devaluing. If you're living in Venezuela, rapidly devaluing. But definitely better than points, which is why, from the point of view of consumers, discounting is preferable to points. It's a more valuable commodity. It's a more valuable benefit that you're using to incentivize that sale. Let's look at cryptocurrency. Whatever you've heard or read, it is the same digital asset. It's a digital asset just like points, just like currency. All currency in circulation, or rather 97% of it, is digital. It's not coinage. The difference is, when we're talking about a cryptocurrency, we're talking about a programmatically finite supply. And that's key. We're talking about a digital commodity, the value of which is knowable, and it's tradable wherever you are on the planet 24/7. So you can realize the value of it almost instantly, wherever you are on the planet. As opposed to cash, cryptocurrency doesn't require a third party to mediate the transfer. So the fees of transaction are low to zero. It is universally portable, literally. You don't even need a thumb drive. You can log on to a web wallet wherever you are on the planet, do what you want with your value. You can send it, donate it, convert to cash. Finally, because the supply is programmatically fixed, it revalues as a function of demand, which when employed to the loyalty space is diametrically opposed to points. When cryptographic value comes back to you as the merchant, it's real value. It's not dead value. So as opposed to, say, for example, even a frequent flyer scheme, which is, let's be honest, a very, very successful product. And many of you may be using a Qantas program or a Virgin program to actually incentivize the sale. Qantas are clipping you a ticket at the point of sale, and then you never see that value back. It's gone. Cryptocurrency has the potential to come back to you as real value. How can you get involved? What we're talking about here is giving your consumers the ability to build wealth as an enticement for the sale. Now, our thesis is that as compared with points, which are highly restrictive and only worth anything if they come back to you, the difference with this form of reward is that you're actually giving your consumers the ability to build wealth That's what millennials love. Things have changed over the last 30 years since loyalty became big. University education has become a business. It's why our university deans are some of the highest paid executives in the country, in the Western world in fact. We have a school system which hothouses 1 in 2 students now into university. Going to university is expensive business and it puts young people in debt before they ever draw their first postgrad paycheck. It's interesting to hear what the HSBC economist, the good news he had about our, the macro economy. It doesn't feel like that on the street. How else is effectively a payday loan business? Australia's unicorn business. How can that be? The point is that our young people are living hand to mouth, week to week. That's their existence, and that's why the discount economy works for them. That's why they'll come into your store and try on that shoe, like it, and go and buy it online from a competitor. So how can you get involved? All you need is a bank account. All you need is a bank account. What our product allows you to do is reward your consumers instantly based on a transaction that we can track from them to your bank account. We then move cryptographic value to a raw base that you set instantly. No POS integration, no card mechanics, no swiping, no sign-up forms, etc., etc. No need to spend thousands, tens of thousands with training staff. Completely frictionless. All you need is a bank account. What can you incentivize? Anything that involves a movement of value. So you don't need to chop out your existing loyalty program. You can run a promotion. We're currently working with the Council of Darlinghurst to revitalise foot traffic into that area. We brought on all the merchants, literally everyone. What they need is foot traffic. They're struggling as a result of the lockout laws. Quite a big project, very simple for us to do. Without being too cheeky, if I know your bank identifier, if I know where value is flowing into your business, I can sign you up without you knowing in about 5 minutes. And any of our users, so long as I furnish your digital wallet with cryptocurrency, can be rewarded when they shop with you. It's super, super low friction. So we're talking to clients who are running a promotion. Maybe they want to move their customers over the line into a premium program. We're talking to lawyers who don't have the use of a loyalty program per se, but they might want to juice the deal. This has huge utility, B2B. And how do you get something over the line? You don't really have traditional loyalty that you can use, or maybe you're a small operator and you just don't have access to that sort of mechanism. Really, wherever there is a movement of value, wherever a potential prospect has a bank account with value moving from clients' accounts to theirs, we can fix you up super quick. And that's what's generating the interest at Tier 3, Tier 2 and Tier 1 in Australia right now. Alright, so what are the benefits? We believe, and in fact we know from a young millennial perspective, that this is a reward fuel that audience loves. Another little vignette. In the midst of the Facebook, Cambridge Analytica fiasco, we thought we'd conduct a little experiment. We built a little Chrome toolbar and we went to the market and said, if you will let us track your browsing behaviour, we will reward you with cryptocurrency instantly at the rate of 1 cent for every minute you browse, up to the maximum of $1 a day. How many of you would bend down to pick up a cent? how many of you would cross the road for a dollar coin? The take-up was enormous. But more importantly than that, the engagement was huge too. Over 75% of those users ran that toolbar every day. So our top earner earned $150 over the course of this pilot. But by the time the pilot was complete, the value of that reward had doubled. So he held $300. That's exciting. We had to stop the pilot because the reason that value was going up is we were financing it. We were going out into the secondary market and buying the Incent tokens to reward those pilot users with. Secondly, because of the way we track transactions, partner merchants get a 360-degree insight on their consumers. Just their name, their email, their contact details, but they see their entire transaction history. Moving back, moving forward. So they can see where those consumers are spending with them, they can see where they're spending with everyone else. Indeed, they can look across the coalition and map the whole bloody thing. By the time a user has cashed out, they've had to undergo a 100-point check in order that we can conform for the AML KYC law. So, 360-degree insight into your consumers. Finally, for any of you that hold crypto, your digital wallet is the stickiest app on your phone. It's the one you go to every morning. It's stickier than Facebook. How am I doing today? As my wealth increase, does it decrease? It's a lovely gamified experience. And partners get to directly market right into that, push deals into that app. The first app that their users look at in the morning. And that's it. Like I say, interest has been huge. This technology has been live now for 3 weeks. To any of you who are interested in the conversation, we're all in the queue.